Peekaboo, we are back covering this Diddy trial. It's a lot. We are on week 3, day 10, y'all. And from what I can see, I just peeked in a little bit of coverage today, and it's going to be a wild ride, is all I have to say. Now, you know the drill, okay? If you are in the replay, you can go ahead and skip ahead a few minutes. I would say about 6.5 minutes. If you are in the chat in the bushes, be patient, get your popcorn or whatever it is you want to chew on, because we finna eat, okay? And y'all know I'll be right back. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your patience. Don't go nowhere. We're gonna have a time today. All right, y'all. I'm told my sound is coming in and out. Just keep me posted on that. I don't know what's going on. Everything looks fine on my end. It might be you, baby. I don't know. Hopefully. I'm here, y'all. 1 second. Peace, world, peace. Welcome back to Goddess Dawn Speaks, aka the $1 trillion goddess, aka the Queen of Info, baby. We are back. I intended on coming live this weekend to just cover a couple things with regard to this witness today, Capricorn Clark, who is Diddy's ex-assistant. I went down a rabbit hole on Lipstick Alley, child, and there is a lot to this person with regard to Diddy, with regard to Cassie, even Lauren London, okay? But from what I understand, she has come in today and has blown this case out of the water on behalf of the prosecution. We are going to get into the testimony via X, the live tweets that come in through Inner City Press, which everybody and their mama, including mainstream media, is using. Okay. But we've been on Matthew from Inner City Press since the R. Kelly days. We ain't new to this. We true to this. And we're going to get into all the things. I did want to bring up, let me pull it up, child. I got busy and wasn't able to properly prepare, but it's okay, right? Because, I know y'all are forgiving people. You guys are patient people. So I want to pull something up just to give us some of the tone for the day so we know what we finna get into here. All right, let's see. I want to pull up another content creator who's actually on the ground at the courthouse who she gave a little insight on as to what we're getting into today. Now, let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Here it is. Let me pull it up. Give me a second. So, of course, I'm going to share a little bit of Tisa Tales, honey, because she, along with a few other people, including Armand Wiggins, I appreciate the insight that they give, right? So let's get into what she's talking about with regard to today. And then we'll get into the actual court testimony. We're going to court, y'all. So get ready to relinquish your phones. Of course, if you're listening to me on that phone, we're not going to do that. I'm just saying. We're going to be in court. Where we at? Where is this tab? I can't find it, child. Here it is. Okay. I'm only playing a minute and a half of this just to give what's what. Where's the volume? Hold on.
Capricorn Clark just ended Diddy. For anybody that was wondering where the RICO was, for anybody that was wondering where the organized crime was, for anybody that was wondering where everything is, baby, it was today on Capricorn Clark's testimony. This has to be the most devastating day of testimony known to man. Y'all, I am not joking. Let's get into this. When I say Capricorn Clark ended Diddy, she ended Diddy. I don't know how Diddy is going to recover from this. I don't know how the prosecution is going to recover. When we left, we're out on break. The prosecution did a cross-examination, right? However, the cross-examination was not working at all. Y'all, it was an absolute complete mess. Hold on real quick, y'all. All right, guys. All right.
Okay, that's all I want to share for now, because we finna get into the things for real, for real. Before I do that, I want to say hi to everybody who is patient enough to hang around and wait on your girl. I know a couple of y'all came in earlier. I appreciate you. When you see the notification, you come on in here and you say hi and you let me know you gonna be here or in the replay. So Faye Crossley, UK Faye, what's up? Love Queen. Hey, love. Hey, love. Yes, please like, share, and subscribe. Nia X, hey now, hey now. Wow, Wayne, of course. All right, my right hand. Thank you so much for your support and your just commitment, child. Thank you for posting my Cash App, because we know Pacer ain't free. Speaking of Pacer, there's some things filed that I want to talk about as well. Let me actually write that down. Pacer docs, so I don't forget. Yeah, the prosecution and the defense have filed a couple of things. The defense, they're trying to throw out Kid Cudi's testimony. They're saying there's no proof, and they have filed this into the court to the judge. Now, it's interesting that they filed that before Capricorn Clark had the opportunity to testify, because she is the proof. She is, direct testimony is considered evidence, right? So she is testifying directly about that event. What's going on, my Ohio Queen, Michelle? Yes, so good to see you. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday weekend. The Black Letter Law, hey. What's going on, girl? Tisa Tell name dropped you. I guess y'all talking, child. She said she talked to you, and she said that, you have some things to say about this case. I don't remember what she said, but I did hear your name. So, Shamina Wright, what's going on? Good to see you, baby Yoda. Yes, thank you for the bells. And I want to call you later, because not about this, but I'm just putting that out there because I gotta tell you something. Anyway, what's going on, Trav? Hello. What a day. I don't even know. Honestly, I try to stay away from it, because when I want to come here and have a firsthand experience, I do peek in on a couple things just so I can get an idea. I want to get an idea of what today's looking like. But Shamina said, does she mean the defense cross-examined? Yes, they cross-examined her as well. I don't know if they finished. I don't know if there were other witnesses brought in today, because I know that there's I think a police officer as well as a fire department representative as well that are supposed to be testifying about the event, the Kid Cudi event. So again, for the defense to file a letter to the judge, a motion to try to get Kid Cudi's testimony kicked out of this case is crazy when the prosecution ain't finished. But you know what that means? Basically, that it's damaging for them. It's damaging for Diddy, and they're trying to toss it just like they tried to toss all of the raid evidence, they tried to basically toss every single thing that the prosecution had in their arsenal. Okay. but so far it hasn't worked. And I don't think it's going to work this time either. But let's not waste another moment. Let's get into today's testimony. Okay. Let's see here. Today I want to put a picture up. So we're talking to Capricorn Clark. But before I'll put her picture up once we get there. Okay. Shout out as always to Inner City Presses, Matthew Russell Lee, for doing the damn thing in the courtroom and giving the public what we need. Okay. I don't know what is going on with my phone, child. This thing. I need my little kids yay audio. Here we go. It's like stuck. Hold on. Okay. It doesn't want to cooperate. Technical difficulties. All right, let's get into it. So Inner City Press starts off today with saying, okay, U.S. versus Combs, day 10, starting with rulings on testimony of Capricorn Clark and others. DNA in Kid Cudi's burned car, investigator Jimenez, Inner City Press, of course, is covering. Okay. There we go. Yes. Now we can go. So the judge says, I see you burned the midnight oil over the weekend. What about the DNA questions? And the prosecution says investigator Jimenez's knowledge of his is extremely limited of this, I'm thinking. The judge says, but didn't he ask the serologist if any DNA test was done? The prosecution said, but not the results. They said, yes, there was a partial profile from the glass bottle in the car, but investigator Jimenez does not know what that means. But the judge interrupts. You don't object to the report coming in, only what Mr. Ignifilo will ask? Prosecution says we do object to the report coming in. Ignifilo jumps in. He says he got the results back. If the DNA came back with Sean Combs' DNA, this investigation would have gone in a different direction, but it was consistent with a female contributor. The judge says, so it's not whether the result was accurate, only the impact. I'm going to overrule the objection, but I'll hear you at the sidebar after the direct. Prosecution says this DNA issue can mislead the jury. Ignifilo says, we could prove this up through the serologist. This is fair game for this witness. The judge said, for now, the objection is overruled. In other words, sit your ass down, Ignifilo, and let this thing go. Let it play out. Now, I'm going to interject real quick and say, with regard to this DNA issue. So, the fire department is coming in to say that did DNA on, I guess there was some glass or whatever they could find, I guess, to see if they could get fingerprints or whatever. And apparently they have found something with a female print or a partial print, and nothing about nothing saying that Sean Combs actually did this. But hello people, can I remind everybody that this is a RICO case, meaning that he's not working alone, meaning that his enterprise does his bidding, does the things on his behalf. So whether or not it's a female partial print, full print, another person's print, a man, a monkey, a dog, what difference does it make if the case is all about the fact that he and his enterprise did some crimes? Okay. So I don't see why people, because I saw some comments also on other platforms saying, oh, well, Diddy's prints wasn't in there, so he didn't do it. Well, it's not about whether or not he actually physically did it. Do we really think Diddy's gonna do the actual boom boom of the car, or is Diddy gonna pay somebody to do it or threaten? He might not even pay him. The way he works, is he dangles your career over you, those freak off tapes, and blackmails you. You need to do this, or I'm gonna do this in exchange, or XYZ. So let's come on and let's use the brain that God gave us and understand that you know, this thing needs to play out fully before we know what's what. And it's not, we just getting started here, right? Am I by myself on this? Okay. Let me scroll down. Everybody else. Trav said the firefighter investigator is going to be on the stand tomorrow. Well, thank you, Trav. Thanks for that update. She's the only one today. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Okay, cool. So, so the judge overrules and says, what about the summary charts? When are they being offered? And the prosecution says some early next week, others along with our second to last witness before we rest our case. All right. The judge says bringing in bank and phone records and texts is okay, but some text threads are already in. Prosecution says the summary charts will save time, as they did in the Menendez case. And they say it's an ex-senator named Bob Menendez. Okay. The judge says that leaves us with the objection to Dr. Hughes. Is the U.S. going to respond? And they say yes. The judge says submit your response by tomorrow. So they're still contesting Dr. Hughes' testimony. The defense is, obviously. And, there's a lot of documents that have been filed over this past, I would say, week that I haven't even seen yet. Unfortunately, y'all, I have a huge life outside of this. Otherwise, child, I would be going live or doing other videos, many more videos about this, because it is so much to it. It is so much to this that we're just not even getting. Okay. So nevertheless, the judge says, now, as to Mr. Muscuddy's testimony, or Kid Cudi, which seemed like an opinion, he said, how was it admissible given the requirements of Rule 701? Prosecution says, we'd like to look at the cases submitted by the defendant, then put in a letter. The judge says, okay, bring in the jury. So here, even the judge says that Kid Cudi's testimony was an opinion. And he's telling them that, this is not a line in Rule 701. So what are we going to do about it? Now, I don't know if that's going to still ring true after this testimony coming up. All right. So now we're bringing in the jury entering. The judge says, welcome back. Call your next witness. Prosecution says the government calls Capricorn Clark. Okay, let's put her picture up. I'll put one of the pictures I have. Well, I have actual pictures that I haven't put into my slide, but we can look at those later. But I'll use the sketches for now. I only have a couple right now. And she looking terrible right here. This is another one I have of her crying. I'll leave this one up for now while the prosecution is up with her. All right. So they asked Capricorn Clark, where did you grow up? She says, I was born in San Francisco, moved to LA, worked for Def Jam, then Death Row Records, a late 90s gangster rap label. I think we all know. Prosecution says, what was your relation to Suge Knight? She says, he is the father of my friend's child. They ask, then you worked for Sean Combs? She says, yes, he's over there in a blue sweater. I worked for him from 2004 to 2012. They go right in, honey. Were you kidnapped? She says, yes. When did you first meet Mr. Combs? When I moved to New York City in 2002. We were super platonic friends. A headhunter said I should work for him as a personal assistant. I did until 2006. Your duties? Shadow him from Wake Up. Then what? Head of women's for Sean John. How long? A year. Then global brand director for Sean Combs. Name and likeness due diligence. to grow the brand. Then I was terminated until 2016 for Cassandra Ventura. Did you work in this building? And they show a picture of the Bad Boys Records office. She says, yes, we moved there in 2005. Your first day, where did Mr. Combs take you? She says, to Central Park after dark, along with Uncle Paulie. He looked like a linebacker. Does this photo look like him? She says, no, he doesn't have on the blackout shades he wore all the time. What did Mr. Combs tell you in the park? She said that since I worked for Suge Knight, if anything happened, he might have to unalive me. Objection. Okay. It's already getting started. She just sat down, child. The judge says, overruled, proceed. He said, I want to know about this. Prosecution says, how did you take it? She says, seriously, it had gravitas, I think that is. It had gravitas. How did you react? I didn't have anything to do with that stuff. Objection. The judge sustains. Mr. Steiner and, Miss Steiner. And so the prosecution keeps moving. What was Polly's role? All aspect of Mr. Combs's movements to keep him safe. Safe, must be. There was also D-Rock, Roger Bonds, and Ruben. Who's D-Rock? A good friend of Biggie Smalls, running back type body. Did you ever observe Mr. Combs with a GUN? Yes, in my home. Now I'm gonna interject too to say they're not bringing up these people for no reason, okay? Just saying, y'all should already know this, but I gotta put that out there. My antennas are going up. Prosecution asks, and did he talk about it? Talking about the GUN. She says Mr. Combs, told Chris Lighty he had a GUN. He had a problem with 50 Cent. Oh, Lord, now we got 50 Cent in the mix. Prosecution asks, were you ever accused of stealing? She says, yes, jewelry. It had been given to me. It was on loan. It went missing? She says, yes. What did you do? From Teterboro, I called 1440 and told them to lock it down. What did Uncle Polly do? He questioned me 3 hours. You went home? To Queens, yes, with Uncle Polly. He searched my house. Where did Uncle Polly take you? 1710 Broadway. It was dilapidated. It was being fixed up. But I didn't know that. Uncle Polly took me to the 6th floor. The door was locked behind us. There was a 6-foot folding table and a heavy-set man. Can you describe him? 5 of me, 2 linebackers. He was chain smoking. Did Uncle Polly stay? No. Intermittently, he came back. What did the heavy-set man say? I was there to take a lie detector test. What did he say that would happen if you failed the lie detector test? That they would throw me in the East River. Objection. Ignifilo steps up. Can we have a sidebar? So they have a sidebar. The judge comes back and says, Miss Steiner, you may proceed. What was his demeanor? Very serious. I was terrified. Did you want to be taking the test? No, I was afraid. How was the test? Wires on you and they question you. Did I steal? Did he tell you the results? He said to calm down, that he couldn't get a good reading and he might have to throw me in the East River. Anyone else in the building? Not to my knowledge. Could you leave? Paul said no. And what did Paul say at the end? That he'd come back the next day to figure this out. We started again, another lie detector test in the same location all day. Were you free to leave? No. How long did this go on? 5 days. Okay, y'all, this might also play into the kidnapping charge. Yet again, another case of kidnapping. The prosecution says, did you tell anyone you were there? She says, no, I was just trying to survive it. I worked under an NDA. Ignifilo objects. The judge sustains the objection and says, jury should disregard the last answer. Prosecution asks, what would you have been doing? She says, shadowing Mr. Combs. What happened after 5 days? She says that I could return to work, that Mr. Combs would see me the next week. And so I'm going to interject again by them asking, what would you have been doing for those 5 days? And her saying, I would have been shadowing Mr. Combs, but yet Mr. Combs, so that just says Mr. Combs knew what was going on, that he was a part of this, because otherwise he wouldn't have been looking for her. Wouldn't this have been a problem? These are his employees after all. Okay, let's continue. So she said that, you know, after the 5 days, they told her she could return to work and that Mr. Combs would see her the next week. Hell, I would have been giving my resignation via being MIA. I would have been MIA after that. Nobody would have ever seen me again from Bad Boy Records. All right. The prosecution asked, did Mr. Combs ever discuss it with you? She says no. Why did you continue to work with Mr. Combs? She said, if I left, they think I stole. No, I don't think so, girl. Okay, let me just say this. How about you left because you were held against your will? You were disrespected, accused. I mean, come on now. Okay, let me continue. Prosecution asked, what were your days like? She says, from his townhouse at 74th Street and Park in the morning to Daddy's house studio at night. How much sleep did you get? On a good day, 4 hours. On a bad day, 2. I got a stress condition. I was paid $55,000. Did you get paid overtime? She said, no. I spoke to the head of HR. She said I was owed $80,000. How did Mr. Combs respond? He ripped the paper up. He ripped up the paper from HR of all people. Who is this HR person? I want to know. How does he even have HR? Because he does not abide by any type of HR policies whatsoever. All right, let's continue. Prosecution asked, would Mr. Combs stay at hotels? She said yes. With whom? Kim Porter, once a week. What names would he book the room under? Frank Black, Frank White. Frank White too? That was Biggie's name. And the girlfriends? She said Jackie Starr. Where did he stay? Intercontinental Buckhead in Atlanta, Beverly Hills Hotel in LA. What were in his bags? She said a camera, small bottles of baby oil and lube. Cameras every time. What would you be doing? Watching TV, ordering room service, keeping up on sleep. Afterward, I'd sweep the room for anything left behind. Any damage? She said baby oil. How frequently would Mr. Combs stay in a hotel with Cassandra Ventura in 2008? Like at La Hermitage in London. La Hermitage in Intercontinental for several days. The IV drips. Did he speak to you about his relationship with Miss Ventura? Yes, Miss London was there. Chef Jordan in the other room. When she says Miss London, is she talking about Lauren London? Okay, she said he called Cassie over, asked her to walk there, hand me that, go back in the other room. She did it. What did he say? You bitches won't do that. That's why you don't have a man. Wow. Prosecution asked, what did you say? She said, you motherfucking right. Okay. Prosecution asked, did you observe Mr. Combs obtain rugs? She said, a girlfriend in New York, in LA, from one stop, Molly, ecstasy, delivered to Puff or to me. Did he ask you to get the rugs for him? Yes, ecstasy. And in the south of France, he asked me to get coke. I said, for who? They asked her why. I wasn't going to do it, given how my mother passed. She said died. Ignifico objects and asked for a sidebar. So the sidebar is going. Okay, let me come over and see if any of y'all have anything to say. I forgot, they have a new feature to put the comments on the screen. Let me see if this works. It might not work because of the black background. Okay. While Wayne says shout out to 50 Cent. Trav said Clark emptied the clip. She started out guns blazing. Okay. Yes, Lauren London. She comes up later again. Okay. Hey, Juti. Shamina said about what? You asking Trav. Let's just go. Shamina, stay with me, girl. Stay with me. Okay. Oh, okay. I see. You see the stuff on the screen? That's kind of, I don't know if you could even see that. What's the point of that? Okay. Anyway, thank you for the bells, Wang. Let's keep going, y'all. Let's keep going. Let me get back to the courtroom. All right. So they're back from the sidebar. Prosecution asked, who did Mr. Combs say the rugs were for? He said, not me. Well, I'm going to interject. Why would he be able to tell her if they were for her or not? If she didn't want to take them, she didn't want to take them. See, that's kind of another way to say that he was forcing them on people. Okay, let's continue. Prosecution asked, did you get them? She said, yes, through the Spanish security guard. He also got prescription drugs in my name. They were in the toiletry bag I carry, or security. Yet another crime. What about bulk cash? She says, yes, 100,000 euro coming back from Europe. Where'd he get it? Bookings in Europe. He'd keep it, then give it to security, then into his bedroom personal safe. They asked her about violence. She said, fighting. Was Mr. Combs violent with you? Yes, at Star Island. He told me, you're not going to leave this house. Was brought in by boat. Pharrell Williams, y'all. I returned to Mr. Walker to Palm Island. He called and said, where the fuck are you? You can't have a life. She said, one time I asked the chef if there was turkey bacon. She said, no fucking turkey bacon. I said, I hate it here. The chef told Mr. Combs and he pushed me again and again. What did he say? He said, if you hate it here, then get the fuck out of here. Did you leave your employment? She said, I did. But you returned as global brand director. Why? He was impressed by what I did in the job I'd left for a couple of albums. He said, you wouldn't have to work directly for me. That's crazy. Prosecution asked, what were you doing for Miss Ventura? She said, managing her image, maximize the optics for her, for Sean Combs. He had final approval on everything. In LA, where did you live? A gated community. We have followed Kim Porter there. Where was Miss Ventura? In New York City on West End. She would come to LA and stay with him or me or in a hotel. Who else was Miss Ventura seeing? Scott Muscuddy, Cuddy. How did you learn that? She brought him to my apartment. What did she say? She texted me that they were going to this public place in LA. I told her it was a bad idea and to delete the text. Why? If Mr. Combs learned about Mr. Combs paid for my phone and hers. I took Cassie to Best Buy to get a burner phone. When did Mr. Combs return to town? Not long after. He took Cassie to a hotel, the Cipriani. And then December 22nd, 2011, between 5:30 and 6 a.m., there was a banging at my door. What did you see through the peephole? A furious puff. Objection, Agnifilo says. The judge says, ask another question, Miss Steiner. What was his movement? Pacing with something in his hand. Did you open the door? I did. What was he wearing? button-down sweater, torn pants, and he was holding a GUN. He came into my apartment and said, "Why didn't you tell me? Who is Scott?" I said, I don't know any Scott. What did he say? "We're going to unalive this N." They asked her, "Where was the GUN?" She said, "In his hand." I said, "I didn't want to go." He said, "I don't give a fuck what you want. Get dressed." What concerns did you have? He'd never come to my house. Did you try to escape? I got dressed. Who joined in? Ruben in the black Escalade executive class. Where was Ruben? Driver's seat. I got in the back seat, right hand side. Mr. Combs was on the left next to me. Usually he would have sat in the front. GUN was in his lap. How long does it take to drive from your home at the time to Cuddy's house in Hollywood Hills? If you push it, 15 to 20 minutes. What did Mr. Combs and Ruben do at Cuddy's house? They went in. Could you see in? She said yes. What did you do? I called Cassie on her burner. I said, "Cassie, where the fuck?" I told her Puff was at Cuddy's house. Then I changed her number in my phone to my best friend Stormy. What did you hear on the phone? That Scott was at Cassie's. When Mr. Combs came back, he took my phone and called the last number. Then I saw Cuddy driving up. Mr. Combs saw my face and said, "There's that N right there." I'm guessing the reporter is replacing the N word there. Okay, so Capricorn then says, "We drove off and saw the police driving the other way towards Cuddy's. Puff was pulling himself together. We stopped at the Key Club and he told me to call Cassie." What did he tell you to tell Cassie? That he had me and wouldn't let me go? How did Miss Ventura respond? She said, "Okay, come get me." She was calm. Who drove you home? She said, "Ruben." What did Mr. Combs then tell you? To convince Cuddy not to say that it had been him at his house, I picked up Cassie. Where did you go? We went to Cuddy's and tried to convince him not to file a police report. What did you tell them? That Puff came to my house with a GUN? What did you tell them he said? If you tell on him, he'll hurt us all. What was Miss Scuddy's reaction? Mind blown. Objection. The judge sustains and says the jury is to disregard. Prosecution asks, what happened at the house? He was kicking Cassie again and again. How was Cassie? In the fetal position. Mr. Combs kicked her all the way to the street. She was crying silently. Where was he kicking her? Her back, her backside. Her voice cracks at this point. Okay, let me switch the picture up real quick because she's crying now. And this is horrible. All right. She says, where was he kicking her? She said her back, her backside, her voice cracks. Where were you? She said 5 feet away. So was Ruben or Rube. What did Mr. Combs say to you? He said, if you jump in, I'm going to fuck you up too. What did Rube do? Nothing. Who did you call? D-Rock. I told him, tell your brother to stop Puff. He's kicking the shit out of her. I called Paulie too. I said he'd take care of it, but Rube did nothing. What next? Mr. Combs told me to get the fuck out too. I left on foot. Okay, now I'm going to interject. Now, if you don't know the Hollywood Hills like I know the Hollywood Hills, there is no on foot in the Hollywood. I mean, not to say she didn't go on foot, but I'm saying that's desperation right there to get out the way. Because the Hollywood Hills are very windy, steep hills, houses, very narrow streets, and it's not meant for walking. So I'm just saying. Prosecution said, could you still see her getting kicked? She said, until I went around the bend. Then who did you call? She said, Regina Ventura, Cassie's mother, child. I told her, he's kicking the shit out of your daughter. I can't call the police, but you can. Prosecution said, why didn't you call the police? She said the mission of the day was to get Cuddy, so no calling police. They said, this email, who was it from? She said, Cassie, she wrote that he would be releasing sex tapes about me and he would have someone else hurt me and Scott Muscuddy. Prosecutors asked, do you recall if you responded to this? She said, I don't. They asked her, did law enforcement call you? She said, the arson investigators. Cuddy had given them my name. I hung up on them. I just wanted this over. Prosecution asked, what did Mr. Combs say to you? He said, I should unalive you bitches and I should cut her face. Woo-wee. How many times did Mr. Combs threaten you? I'd say 50 times. D-Rock was there, just doubling down on whatever Puff was saying in the moment. Wow. Who is Harv Pierre? The president of Bad Boy Records. I told him Puff had kidnapped me. What did Harv Pierre tell you? He said, that's crazy, but it's going to be okay. I got a termination notice. I was accused on not properly putting in for the vacation I was on. Okay, so Harv Pierre said, that's crazy, but you're going to be all right. But then she ended up getting a termination notice, she said, for not, she went on a vacation that she wasn't authorized. The prosecution asked, had you put it in? She said, yes, to Harv Pierre. Did you lose benefits? All of them, health, 401k, my house, and car. What did Mr. Combs say? That I would never work again, that he would make me unalive myself. Did you get a job offer? I did, but it fell through. I couldn't get a job. Did you settle with Mr. Combs? In October 2012, for Agnifilo objects and asks if he can approach. They have a sidebar. Okay, man, this is a lot, y'all. Anybody say anything? Y'all just tuning in. Okay. Oh my God is right. Sheena. Well, Wayne said this channel is for mature audiences only. Yeah, you know, that's I know, Shamina, I'm nosy too. I'm nosy too, child. Yeah, please hit the like button. Share and subscribe as well if you are not. Let's see. Let's get back to it. So they're back from the sidebar. The prosecution says, aside from that settlement agreement, do you have any other pending litigation against Mr. Combs? She says, no. Did you go back to work for him? She said, no one else would hire me. Cassie had a new record deal with Epic. Who did you have to get approvals from? She said, Sean Combs. Cassie was taking more rugs. Was she still dating Mr. Combs? She says, yes. In December 2023, why did you retain an attorney? I was traumatized by Cassie's civil complaint. Her complaint did not reference me. I reached out to Mr. Combs and said, I want my life back. You kidnapped me. Agnifilo objects. The judge overrules. Was there a discussion of you working for Mr. Combs again? Yes, as chief of staff. When did you last speak with Miss Ventura? 2018. And Mr. Muscuddy? 2012. No further questions. The judge calls for a break. Agnifilo asks if he can start. And the judge says, well, we're taking a break. So they go on a break. Whew, let me take a sip of my water, child. I mean, this don't even seem like court, child. Is this like a Netflix movie or what? I feel like I'm reading a script. All right, they're back. The judge asks, reminds Miss Clark, tells Miss Clark, you're still under oath. Agnifilo is up. Okay, he says, we met in April 2024. You had a lawyer, Brian Friedman? She says, yes. He says, you wanted to come back and work with Mr. Combs, right? She says, we discussed it, yes. You saw Miss Garagos taking notes? She said, yes. You said you didn't think Cassie was good for Mr. Combs. Why? I just thought they were toxic. Tell me about when you were in New York. I was in the Bronx. I hated it. It was 2002. I met Jeanette, then Mr. Combs in 2001 was the World Trade Center thing. Then I met Mr. Combs. He wasn't doing rugs, right? He did ecstasy in Daddy's house, but it got worse. Yes. You authorized Mr. Freeman to seek a job for you? It was all very procedural, lawyer to lawyer. But you were told you couldn't be given a job in the middle of the investigation. I don't remember that. Read this and let me know when you're done. Do you remember saying you have the biggest crush on him? The prosecution objects and says 403. Mr. Ignifilo, the judge asks. He says, state of mind. Prosecution says, it's being offered for the truth. Ignifilo says, we had a stip on this. And there's a sidebar. So let me just go back a little bit here. So they give her, I guess their notes or whatever for her to read back from when they met back last year. So I guess when they initially met her, they thought that she was going to be their witness or that they were going to be able to get her on Diddy's side in this situation. And I'm pretty sure he probably did dangle her coming back to work for him in front of her, or dangle something in front of her, because now they're trying to say, oh, you wanted to come back and work for him. And they're trying to, and now they're trying to say she had a crush on him. The prosecution is saying, what's the significance of this? Like, what are you doing? Okay, so they have a sidebar. Now, even Ignifilo, let me go back. And Ignifilo says, we had a stip on this, a stipulation. So sounds like he's trying to say, we had a little deal, I thought, So there's a sidebar. They're back. Ignifilo says, you called him Choc for chocolate? She said, I did. You started with Def Jam. Run DMC? I didn't go back that far. I'm more Foxy Brown, Redline, Jay-Z. Ignifilo says, so how did you come to work for Mr. Combs? She said, I put my resume on Monster after the World Trade Center thing. He said, you'd work for me? I was like, maybe. He was acting on Broadway in Raisin in the Sun. I was impressed. He had a major part. He was a star. Then I shadowed him on the Vote or Die campaign. My job was to get the t-shirts on the celebrities and go into the photo shoots. I'd call them and say, Puff wanted them to come. And they came? They did. How long before the jury missing thing? It was about 4 months. On the 4th of July, he threw a white party at his home on the Hamptons that year with Vote or Die. When did the jewels missing happen? After July 4th. The jewels were still on loan from Jacob the jeweler. Who else got a lie detector? She said Mike B, his stylist. He too had gone to street level of 1440 for manicures. The lie detector test was the next day. You never told HR? No. She said, I got fired for 3 weeks. How did you get unfired? I went to work on his 35th birthday at Cipriani to do the celebrity list. I came back. 2004 to 2006. She says, not at all. Not all. Not all. She says, as a personal assistant? Ignifilo asks, as a personal assistant? She says, then liaison. I was making $65,000 for Combs, then 90 at Jive. 65. I'm sorry, y'all. I have to interject. He was paying her $65,000. Now, if that's not a low ball, I don't know what is. Now, I remember somebody else testifying to making like 125, and she was making 65. Okay. Anyway, let's go on. Ignifilo says, why did you come back to Combs? She said, I'd gotten top records for R. Kelly. Mr. Combs said he was impressed. She worked for R. Kelly too, child. This woman is a mess. She says he asked me to come back for Sean John for women. I think I was a really good employee for him. He told you were awesome? She said he did not use that word. You worked hard for him? I did. Others worked hard too, right? Not as hard as me. I did learn a lot from Mr. Combs. She's almost crying here. He broke that glass ceiling for us Black people in the business world. Do you need a minute? No, it's just complicated. The judge says we'll take a break. So with the jury and the witness out, the judge says on DNA questions to Inspector Jimenez, the government's objection is overruled. Okay. So, wow. So the USA then we asked for a bit longer. We've not been able to eat lunch. We're running ahead of schedule. Our case may be closer to 5 weeks than 6 weeks. So they get a longer break at this point. Okay, so they come back. It says they're back below juror and witness in. Prosecution says they propose to use communications between Ms. Clark and Ms. Ventura. We don't see any non-hearsay purpose. Ignifilo says there are logistics and photo shoots being discussed. She testified to this on direct. Ignifilo says the direct went more negative than we expected. Their theory is that Ms. Ventura was not permitted to be creative. The judge says, in the future, and what you submit overnight, in the future, and what you submit overnight. In their defense submission over the weekend, the defense argued the album cover was relevant, right, Ms. Shapiro? And she says yes. Ms. Ventura is topless with her arms crossed. So the judge interjects, let's have Ms. Clark come back. So that was the prosecution trying to explain it, that she was topless. They don't want, it's like, can we leave that alone? The judge says, now let's bring the jury in. The jury enters. Ignifilo is up again. He says, when you went to the park, it was to Tavern on the Green. She says, we parked there. Earlier in the day in the park, we ran into Nas. When you say he had Miss Ventura spin, who was there? Let me show you what you said. You said Lorianne Gibson was there? She said, they misheard me. He says, when did you first meet Cassie Ventura? I met her with Ryan Leslie. Why did you not get along with Cassie sometimes? In 2008, she got more bravado being his girlfriend the longer it lasted. She thought I was being paid to help her. Objection. The judge sustains and asks them to tells them to re-ask. Tells Ignifilo to re-ask. He asks, what did you see? She says she went from being a sweet model to being a feisty girlfriend. Do you think she was talented? She had talent and was very beautiful, but not talented. She was not. I have good taste. Talented to me is Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. Cassie was more of a studio musician. She needed things equalized. Ignifilo asked, did she perform live? A couple times, not the greatest. Ignifilo asked, was she a hard worker? At times. When wasn't she a hard worker? When she preferred to be with her boyfriend. When we moved to LA and after Kim had the twins, 2009-ish, I saw her developing more of her relationship with Puff with Mr. Combs. He supported her? Yes, with stylists, other musicians, all the components to make a star. Did she get more help than others? Yes, Young Jock and a group from Atlanta. I developed French Montana. I ran into Cassie. She says she had a new deal with Epic. I dressed her like David Bowie. We did a photo shoot at my house. We wrote a mini movie and shot it for the project. What about Official Girl? Super cute video. King of Hearts? It was fresh. Puff liked it. Cassie had a green wig? Yes. We moved to admit this witness. Prosecution says there's a sealing issue. Ignifilo says, you don't remember this email? She says, I don't. Here in 2012, you are setting up a recording session for Cassie. She says, Mario Winans was for the chairman. Ignifilo says, for Mr. Combs? She says, yes. When did you learn Cassie was dating Kid Cudi? Fall of 2011. I picked her up there. I thought she said she brought him to her apartment, but okay. I picked her up there. Ignifilo says, you believe that after Thanksgiving, Miss Ventura and Kid Cudi were what? She says, getting to know each other. Why did you get a burner phone at Best Buy? I told her, you cannot do this on your bad boy phone. How did you know about burner phones? I grew up in Los Angeles. I heard that. In December 2011, Mr. Combs was at an orphanage in Almaty, Kazakhstan. Almaty, Kazakhstan? She said, I heard it was Russia. How did Mr. Combs get into your building? I was told the security guard got fired, she said. He asked, what was his name? She said, some random security guard. What did he look like? This is Ignifilo asking. He says, a black guy, younger than 35. I was doing with the GUN. He had it in his hand, she said. He was pointing it at you? She said, no. But you told the government he pointed it at you. She said, it says, or waved it around. That's more correct. Where did you change into street clothes? She said, in my closet. Isn't it true you went so that Mr. Combs wouldn't do something stupid? No, I went because he said he didn't care that I didn't want to go. Ignifilo says, he's a jealous guy. She says, he has a bad temper. Ignifilo asks, to the Escalade, did you pass a security guard? She said, I saw him in his little hut. Mr. Combs was behind the driver with the GUN on his lap. You made a call? Not then. Did you look at Kid Cudi's door to see if they could get through it? I was not really paying attention. I was so in my head trying to plan my next step. I was praying that Cudi was not in there. Did Cassie have 2 rooms? Cudi took her to one room. She had another. You are 100% that you called and told them that Puff had a GUN? She said, yes, I did it very quickly. I didn't want Puff to see me on the phone. Did you say that Lauren London was on the phone with you and Cassie and Cudi? She said, no, only part of the time. Her voice is crackling. I wanted someone to know I was there, where I was. What did you tell her? She said, I'm scared of mountain lions. Mountain lions? She says, I don't know if you know the Hollywood Hills, coyotes. Maybe Lauren was on the phone. Maybe. It was such a long time ago. Ignifilo says, are you aware that Lauren and Mr. Combs were friends for years after this? She says, yes. Then did you see the Porsche coming up the hill? She says, yes, Cudi in the black Porsche. He stops next to us, then speeds off. We chase him. Then he loses us. We turn away. Then we see police pass us. Wow. So let me just interject real quick. So let's set the scene here. So Cudi finds out, because remember it was testified that Puff called Cudi and said, I'm at your house. Or no, Cudi called Puff and said, are you at my house? He said, yeah, I'm waiting on you. So he probably passed by to see if it was true or to like see what was going on. And then sees that they're there and he keeps it pushing. Now he must know the Hollywood Hills very well. Because remind you, Puff ain't from LA, he's from New York. Cut those hills very well and was able to lose them. But what would you think would have happened had they caught up with him? I mean, this is insane. All right. Ignifilo asks, you go to pick up Cassie. She said Cudi's house. There was ADT there, which is a security company, if you didn't know. Ignifilo says, then you go to Mr. Combs' house and you say you see Mr. Combs kicking Cassie there and even in the street. She says, yes. You hung up on the fire inspector? She said, I did. When you were on vacation, it was with who? She said, Rihanna. Okay, name dropper. Ignifilo says, after you were fired, what job did you get? She said, I was hired by Chris Lighty to work for 50 Cent. Here you wrote to Mr. Combs, one day you'll forgive me. Anyway, be well, XX. She says, yes. He asks, you wrote on February 28, 2015, your grace period to be mad at me has surpassed the agreed time, LOL. You wrote that? She said, yes, sir. He said, please read that out loud. She said, I wrote, she was never my friend. She wanted me gone, I realized. Did you think Cassie wanted you gone? She starts crying and he types it out as sorry. This is complicated for me. I felt that I was Puff's protector. She says, I felt I was the only one gone. She was still there and things were getting worse. I try to keep professionalism as the goal. Ignifilo asked, you thought you could be his protector? She said it was to move the ball toward the goal, to inspire. Did it hurt that he would only take you back because Cassie wanted? She says, yes, I have no parents. My son is autistic. My stakes are higher, sir. How much more, Mr. Ignifilo, the judge is asking. He says, can I talk to the government? There's a sidebar. What do he want with the government now? Okay, let me refresh this. Okay, so they're back now. Ignifilo asks or says, just a few more minutes and we'll get you out today. She says, thank you, sir. You did a lot of great work with Cassie in 2016 and 2017, right? She says, I believe so. Cassie had addiction problems? She said, yes. Oh, we're going to put that on Cassie. Okay. Ignifilo asks, you made a short movie with her? Says it was called Love a Loser. You wrote to him asking for forgiveness? I wanted my life back, my dream, my competency. When you met with me, you wanted to work for him, right? She said, we discussed it. Nothing further. The judge asked Ms. Steiner if there's a redirect. Ms. Steiner comes up. How much was Mr. Combs required to pay you? Judge asked for a sidebar. She comes back and asks, what happened with the job with Chris Lighty? Capricorn Clark said, he died the day before I was supposed to start. Then at Interscope, it wasn't about a job. They told me to leave Puff alone. Ignifilo objects. The judge sustains. I was blacklisted, she said. Ignifilo objects. The judge sustains. And the prosecution asked, why did you return to work for Mr. Combs? So people could see I wasn't disposable. At this level of business, he held all the power. Why did you meet them? To get my life back. In the kidnapping, did Mr. Combs carry a GUN? She says, yes. The judge says, jurors, I know we kept you longer than I said. Thank you. See you tomorrow. All rise. All right. So the judge then says tomorrow. He's asking the prosecution, who's up tomorrow? The government says LAPD, LAFD, Jimenez, Nash, and Mia. Now, remember, Mia is another employee or ex-employee who's using a pseudonym. I'm hoping this is KK or what's her name? Courtroom. I forgot the girl's first name. Christina Courtroom. But she's also another person who might be dropping some bombshells. But Ignifilo then says, what about the VTC with Mr. Combs in MDC Brooklyn jail? The judge says there are logistical difficulties in the evening. They believe they are being flexible. Garrigo says we get cut off after 5:30 p.m. Garrigo says the legal minutes cut off when MDC legal is not there. The other calls are capped at 300 minutes. They are filtered. The judge said, let me work on that. There are union issues with VTC in the evening. Garrigo says maybe more SCIF time here. adjourned. So basically, the defense needs more time. They think with Combs, because they need to pick his brain about how we gonna fight this. What we gonna do now? What you got? What else you got to tell us about this that we can use? I mean, because Diddy is the one running the show here in true reality, even though he has these attorneys. It's Diddy who is running the show for real, for real. Yes, Wayne, thank you. If you just came in, please check out this replay. Yeah, if you just coming in, you can go into the replay, and definitely like, share, and subscribe. So there's just a couple things I want to show y'all real quick. That was some serious testimony right there. And I know that was just kind of a summation. I mean, he's doing the best he can with giving us, what's there to give, but you can only tweet so much. Let's see, where do I want to go first? Let me go to TikTok real quick. I'm not sure if I said thank you to our military, to the families of those who have passed away. I just like to say thank you to the people who do give their time and lives really in protecting us and our country. It's not an easy thing to do, and especially people have lost their lives doing so. And it's amazing that people still join after knowing what could happen. But especially when they don't have the draft anymore. Well, at least not yet. That's always being talked about. Okay, let's see. What do I have for today? Child, I don't know if I'm gonna save this one for another live. This lady has a freak off story that involves children. It's very disturbing. I guess I'll play Secret Serviceman Sam.
Patriots, this is crazy. Coming out of the Diddy trial, and Capricorn Clark might have just turned this whole case around. Patriots, check in. I know you're like, hey, Sam, you were saying the Diddler was winning. The Diddler was winning. Not today. This is not a good day at work for the Diddler. She pretty much came out swinging, saying that he kidnapped her. They go through the whole ordeal with Kid Cudi. It is so intense. I will give updates later with all these notes and everything. It is just intense. I mean, I can't even explain to you how explosive her testimony was on the stand. She was crying. Diddy was in a Mr. Rogers blue shirt. He has a fade. Diddy has a fade. He got some prison haircut in there. It's not good looking. His head looks like some kind of mushroom. It's definitely not a Diddy fade. But oh my gosh, Capricorn Clark's testimony literally could change the whole entire course of it, because unless, we just broke real quick, but unless the cross-examination, they're going to try and poke holes in it. Basically, she's saying that she was kidnapped by the Diddler when he found out that Cassie was cheating on him with Kid Cudi. She had gotten Cassie a burner phone, and Diddy basically goes to her house, says, get in the car, you're coming with me to go unalive Kid Cudi. He had a pun on him, and they went to Cudi's house. He broke into Cudi's house and called Cudi from inside the house, and Cudi rushes over there. Cudi gets there, and then soon rooms off because it's like, oh, Diddler is going to unalive me, right? This is such a crazy story. And then what happens is he says, if you don't get Cassie to come to me, I'm going to unalive all of you mother effers. So they go. Cassie comes over to Diddy's house. He kicks Cassie for like 20 feet repeatedly. Just a brutal beating. I mean, this whole thing is so crazy. I'm going to get you guys like some quotes and more. I have to get back in there, but I just wanted to give you guys a little piece of what is going on, and to let you guys know, because everybody thinks, oh yeah, he's pro Diddy. No, I am watching a sports game, whether or not you like the one of the teams. One is winning, one is losing. But I have to say, today the prosecution took a huge turn with Capricorn Clark, and she is spiking. She is spiking them. Brian Steele, Agnifilo, they are all freaking out right now because this could be the testimony that changes the entire course of the trial. The jury is watching, and I don't know. They are seeing a whole different side of this case. You heard it here first. It is swaying. It is swaying. Secret Service Sam out. Samson for president of TikTok.
So I just wanted to really emphasize the gravity of her testimony. He was in the courtroom. I'm pretty sure people were in shock and awe. I'm pretty sure that, you know, it was visible that the defense was scraping and scrambling, child, trying to figure out how to combat this explosive, damning testimony against their client. And shoot, they might be in the phone book looking for yet another lawyer to add to the team, because I don't know that who they have currently is going to be able to do the job that they need to be done. Like this morning, the Washington Post reported at the very beginning, before court started, Sean Combs and his team are sitting at their table now, as are government prosecutors. Combs is wearing a navy blue sweater and a white collared shirt, a bit of a departure from the lighter colors he has favored for the first few weeks of trial. He is deep in conversation with attorney Nicole Westmoreland as he takes his go-to trial notepad, a blue spiral notebook, the kind you can find at most drugstores, out of his bag. At one point, Westmoreland, who was standing, covered her mouth as if in laughter and leaned over Combs. And I only read that because it seems so unserious to me. Like, we are literally in court for this man's RICO trial, and his life is on the line. And you in there giggling, standing over him and giggling. Like, girl, I'm just saying, you know, this thing is I told y'all, there's a lot of people who like that Secret Service Sam think that the government was winning something. I mean, I'm sorry, that the defense had some good moments. But like in his comments, I'm looking at, somebody said he hasn't been winning since the trial started. Hello. And then somebody else said the feds have a 99% conviction rate. Never forget. Now, fair to say that a lot of times that conviction rate is 99%, because a lot of times people plead out and they don't end up going to trial because they know that the government has so much evidence against them. But people like Diddy, which he's unlike a lot of people, honestly, but people like Diddy who think they're bigger than the program will sit and make a fool out of themselves to try to prove, you know, that, again, they're bigger than the program. But I don't think that's going to work today. That ain't going to work in this case. And, you know, I have some other things I was going to get into, like the Pacer documents, a couple of things that were filed. But today, I think we won't leave it at Capricorn Clark because we're already over the hour. And I will definitely be back tomorrow. I hope you join me. I appreciate you all so much. Peace and every one of you. And until then, bye.